Okay, so say, yeah, big welcome. Now, for those of you who are on this, I guess last month it was, I think, the topic last month was all about On the Road Again. Remember the song by Willie Nelson? And I've actually been on the road again. So last time it was Auckland, yesterday it was Brisbane. So I'm back in Sydney. What I'd love you to do, and Vinay's already done it, is on your picture, go up to the 3 dots and rename yourself wherever you are. So Jim Wilson, I guess, still in Canberra, Jim? Excellent. Just so we know, I guess, where we've got. Danielle Ford's in Herman. Where's Herman? Melbourne, Auckland, welcome Tilly. Melbourne, Perth, Miata, that's good. Wellington. All right, terrific. Wollongong, excellent. So we've got a good crowd. All right. Today, like every month, is, as you can see at the top, there we are. It's about being connected, which means technically, we can hook up wherever we are. It's about staying connected, trying not to disappear for weeks on end. But most importantly, it's about feeling connected. And so today, as I say, is all about, generating that feeling of being connected. We've got quite a good number today. So we'll have to manage the crowd a bit, but obviously if there's something you desperately need to say, then wave and shout and we'll include you. Otherwise we'll keep going and we'll be using the chat as we go along. Okay, today is all about teams, and I guess that's why a lot of you have clicked on. Almost all the work we're currently doing is with teams of different sorts. So I guess that's why you're here. It seems to be the topic of the day. But before we get into that, we're going to do what we always do, and we're going to do a quick breakout room, which is to simulate in the good old days of face-to-face. It's going to simulate when you'd meet people in the foyer that you'd never seen before. So you're going to be tumbled out of here through time and space into a little breakout room, and there are going to be 3 or 4 people in there, and you can say g'day. Okay, did anybody meet somebody really exciting? So we did. We met Stephen, who's working with the Sultan of Brunei. So there you go. And it's 34 degrees in Brunei. So anywhere else? Vinay, it must be a warm day where you are.
Not too bad, Michael. It's about mid-20s and cloudy, and it's the rainy season for us.
Oh,
so
okay.
Not too bad.
Yes, yeah. We've got the rainy season in Sydney for the last 6 months, I think. It's it's just raining. Anybody else meet anybody like the Sultan or? No, all right. There are lots of people to, I guess, specially welcome, but I've got to say hi to Braden because we were talking last week and he said he might drop in, and he has, so well done. Yeah, and to say a special welcome to everybody who's here for the first time, and of course who's here, come back again and again. Okay, today's topic, is, I guess, all about teams. And to start, let me share my screen. All right. And hopefully you can see this. I was doing a bit of searching, Googling or Binging, I think I do now in terms of search engines. And I found Atlassian to be a great source of information, especially about teams. And I guess nothing new in this, but I thought this was quite interesting that their research shows that collaborative problem solving leads to better outcomes. But as we know, it can sometimes be a challenge to get that collaboration. I like this one. People are more likely to take calculated risks that lead to innovation if they have the support of a team behind them. So the loneliness, I guess, of innovation. Yeah, so it's nice to have that support. And this, I think, is very interesting in terms of the current times, of COVID, is that working in a team encourages personal growth, increased job satisfaction, but also reduces stress. And again, so much of the work that we're doing is around not only teams, but nowadays, of course, hybrid teams, remote teams, and so forth. And yeah, because kind of the world is different. So that, to me, just sets the scene a little bit about why teams. Give, I guess, a thumbs up if the majority of work you do is with teams or groups or so. Yeah, so yeah, a lot of us. Yeah. Okay, to get us going, then we're going to do another breakout, and this one will be, I guess, slightly different if I go to this again. Okay, in this breakout, what I want you to do is to discuss and share with the people in the breakout room, what's the biggest challenge that you've had with a team? And as a result, what did you do? And I guess let me give you an example of what I mean is it was pre-COVID because it was face-to-face days, but I remember we got a job through a US company that had used Herman in the US and apparently been very successful. So the US parent said to the Australian subsidiary, you've got to get yourself one of these team workshops, and here's the person to contact. So the Australian team contacted me and we set it up. What I realized very early on was whilst the US team wanted the Australian team to do the team building day, the Australian team didn't. So when I arrived, I wasn't really welcome. To make things worse, I'd never actually experienced a team like this. There are about 15 people in the team, and there were 3 particular people in the team which made life incredibly difficult. This team had a system of rotating leadership. And each time you'd be the team leader for, I think it was a 12-month period. So in the room, I had the previous leader, the current leader, and the anointed leader. And oh dear, they all wanted to lead. And needless to say, yeah, it was a complete disaster. And they shot the messenger, and I never got asked back to that company. So yeah, not a good day, not a good day. So that was probably the biggest challenge I've had. And I guess what would I do about it? Well, I actually didn't prepare myself well enough. I could have found out all of that before I went in. So that's the sort of thing I'm thinking about in terms of this breakout group. What's the biggest challenge you've had with a team or consistently have with the team, and what do you do about it? We're going to put you in small groups and we'll give you about 10 minutes, okay? And I'll see you on the other side. Okay, everybody back? Okay, we got a bit of a challenge because we got quite a group today. I think we're close to 40 people and we had about 8 or 9 breakout groups. So it's going to be difficult to get that feedback. What I'd love you to do, and I'll save it and print it out and send it back to you, is if you'd all just quickly write in the chat your biggest challenge with teams? And at least then we'll have a list of, you know, all the challenges. But that would be interesting if you could just do that. What's the biggest challenge, you know, that you face? So at least we'll hear self-interest. So, oh God, yes, managing your own preference. That's a daily challenge. Yes, awareness, skepticism. Oh yes, facilitating a group. Excellent, thanks, Steve. That's okay. So lots, yeah, and lots of, say, challenges. So it's interesting. Most of the work that we do with Herman, not only in Australia, New Zealand, and Southeast Asia, but in the last couple of days, I've been talking to people in Europe and the US, and teams, as I say, just keeps on coming up again and again and again. The other thing that keeps coming up, and I'm going to share my screen, is this. Now, give me a wave if you've heard of Lencioni. He wrote his book now quite some time ago. I think it was 2007 when it first came out. But what Anne Herman and I have been doing recently is combining, I guess, whole brain thinking, the whole brain model, with Lencioni's 5 dysfunctions and working up through them. The other thing that is becoming very, very clear to us is that you have to take teams on a learning journey, not to a one-off workshop. That a one-off workshop really doesn't achieve that much. And again, what we've found is that this framework really can provide a beautiful learning journey where almost, you know, at each event, each month or each time you get to work with a team, you can start obviously at the bottom, working with trust, then conflict, commitment, accountability, and, you know, slowly working up. Now, a couple of things that say we found that has really, really worked. And let me talk just briefly about each one. Trust. And again, in the virtual world, I found that this has been one we've had to do a lot of work on. I'm getting terrific results. I guess when I first work with a team, I assume, if you like, the absence of trust until it's proven. But I get them, as well as individually debriefing HBDIs before they arrive, I give them an exercise to do where they have to come prepared to share. And what I get them to share is information about themselves, which obviously relates to the HBDI, but it's really interesting to know where somebody grew up. What order of the family are they? Are they an only child, or are they the 3rd or 4th child, or whatever? What are some of the challenges that they faced during their life? And to get them to begin to share, and obviously the more personal it is, the more, I guess, vulnerable they become. And it's a great way, I find, to say, to start the journey on trust. And I don't know who it was who said it, but apparently we judge others unfairly when we don't understand them. But when you begin to understand somebody, you know, that they're the 3rd child or whatever else, then you begin to understand them, and therefore you're less likely to judge them. And again, HBDI and whole brain thinking works really well in developing trust. Conflict, of course, we know has to be healthy conflict. It's not a conflict between you and me. It's the conflict between ideas. And therefore, you know, building on the trust, you're then able to speak your opinion. And it's important, I guess, that you agree to disagree, but at least you've had that, exchange of ideas. The third one, obviously, is commitment. And I found this saying the other day: if you want to get buy-in, you've got to weigh in. So if you want to get buy-in, you've got to get weigh-in. So you've got to get people really engaged in that healthy debate, that healthy discussion. And I believe it was Andy Grove who said, we're going to disagree, then commit. And again, I thought that was a nice way to do it. Accountability obviously requires that commitment. And if you don't get that 100% commitment, you're not going to get that, that accountability. And then obviously at the top is the results. And so many teams, as it says here, often suffer from, I guess, inattention to results. So let me get rid of that for a minute. Does anybody else, is anybody else familiar with that framework and has used it? Anybody else can comment on it? Yes,
I
Stephen.
can, Michael. Yeah, in fact, we've just been talking about it in the breakout room.
Okay.
So as I've told you, I'm a school principal, and I took over a large school where there was different teams within a team, and I was talking to the middle leaders, but they all had their own budgets and they all had their own little empires. They were all caring about their own line of report. And one of the things that I wanted them to understand was that they were the team. When I asked them to list their team, they put everybody who reported through to them and not the other leaders on the team. Right. So there wasn't a general goal to achieve alignment, if you like. So I did do HBDI with the team first of all. Then we went through Lencioni's day. So I've done a course with Lencioni, and his 5 dysfunctions as a couple of days, a half day, a full day kind of workshop. And the result was extremely good because, as I told the other guys, it ended up with, starts with let's understand yourself and where's your background and share with people what you can. I had team leaders there who were sharing their own school experiences in tears. One that sticks with me was one of the female teachers who'd been looking after her disabled brother during the time of schooling. Dad was in prison, mum was on drugs, etc. Nobody knew this about her and just thought she was a bit of a bull in a china shop and resistant to all change. And then we put thinking preferences up and they all went, oh, look, that's why she's like that as well. She's got this bias, she's got this perspective. She doesn't trust anybody for a reason. So she couldn't get off the lower layer of Lencioni in a lot of places due to her background. And was protective of herself, psychologically and physically, I suppose. But the HBDI then helped to explain what effect that had on her thinking styles. Yeah. So Lencioni, I've used quite a few times, and it's always been successful. And I do think an overlay of HBDI is fabulous.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you, Stephen. Yeah. What a powerful example. Anybody else had experience with it? Okay, not anybody else got? I guess
I use it a lot, Michael.
Jill, yes.
Yeah, with and so that bottom level, talking about the trust, as in that psychological safety, safe to speak up, even if you have a dissenting voice, or so that then feeds into the healthy debate, that second layer, and I always use HBDI, that first layer, to say this is an opportunity to. It's just as you were saying, sort of in a safe way, share about each other, and then you might also get them to share a story, but then taking them through, and it could be over months, taking them through the skills for having healthy debate, and then that whole decision making, the commitment piece, and just structure a program with a team through the 5 levels actually.
Yeah, that's right.
But using HBDI is is a really fun, engaging way to kick off that program of work.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, so very powerful. And a lot of the people I'm talking to now are using the term with teams, of creating a learning journey that, I'm going to be working with you for a period of time. And, this is what we're going to be doing. Yeah, and the structure. Okay.
Sorry,
Yes.
Michael, just to interject.
Yeah, Kerry.
Hi, I popped into the chat box Matt Lashbrook's email address, and he's the principal consultant that has direct liaison with the table group. That's US based with Patrick Lencioni.
Okay,
so if anybody
terrific.
wants to take that down, I think he could potentially certify people if you haven't already got your certification in the 5 dysfunctions of a team.
Yeah. Okay. And thanks, Kerry. And I can see it in the chat. So grab that. Say if you would like to, which would be good. All right. Let me, I guess, go back to sharing my screen. So yeah, these are the the 5 dysfunctions. Let me, I guess, show you what we're doing and how we're beginning to bring the two together. Typically, I guess this is the business I often do, and I mean, I'll do it, but I'd probably rather not do it. And it's a one-off team workshop because we know it's going to have limited impact, again, because of the journey. Now, even so, ideally now, if it's only a one-off workshop, I'd still like these 3 events to occur. I need to get buy-in from the team, and especially obviously the team leader. What do they want to achieve? What are they doing? Where are the pain points, etc. More and more now, I do the individual, I guess, the HBDI debrief individually beforehand. The reason why I'm beginning to do that is, especially with that first layer of trust, it allows me to talk to everybody individually. Therefore, you get their perspective, you get what they want to achieve out of the program, but you can also assign the pre-work. And for me, the pre-work is that sort of autobiography questions around trust. So, were you the first child? What were some of the early experiences, etc., so that you can start then the HBDI workshop, or the team profile workshop, not having to explain the individual HBDI, but going straight into the team profile and the sharing about developing trust. So that's what I've found, say, has worked. But it's a waste if it stops there. What I guess we're working towards now is to create this. And the framework, the 5 dysfunctions and everything, you can obviously build into this and so forth. Is yes, do your buy-in individual HBDIs and then the team profile, but then set up, and we use the team effectiveness dashboard, which says, yes, we've got the team profile and we know the individual profiles, we know the team profile, but what the team effectiveness dashboard does is says, how are we currently thinking and how do we need to think? So it's encouraging the team to move and shift and be much more agile in their thinking and not just accept the team profile, as a fait accompli, because it's not. What I then do, I guess, into the round circle is I want to set up next 12 months. And I do that by meeting with the team leader, right, around a 90-day cycle. So we'll meet each quarter and ideally redo the team effectiveness dashboard, redo the team profile if the team changes, because then the dynamic is different. And the small dots mean in between the quarterly meetings, I might not be there. So you're relying on the team leader, to do regular meetings, but always, I guess, with the whole brain model in mind. So that's, I guess, the learning journey now that we're creating, say, around teams. So any thoughts or comments? Anybody got a similar or different journey?
Michael, I would just like to ask that, being able to take clients on that journey is wonderful. I imagine that often clients want to start with a taste. And so they'll start at the beginning and that, they're all good for that. What techniques do you use to get them to buy into the journey or to try to help, progress that?
Oh, I don't have a magic wand, honestly. We're concentrating more and more and more on, I guess, impact, talking about, making sure that right from the beginning, you're not doing it just for the sake of doing it. That the team leader really does want to achieve something, and you can measure it, and therefore you're beginning to set up that progress. But I think, as everybody here would know, working from outside an organization, it's incredibly difficult to get back to a team and back. It's easier, when you're inside. I mean, Steve, you've had experience both in and out.
Yeah, no, I just think while you were doing, I did some work with a guy at UWA at one stage, and we come up, he had a thing called the Integral Leadership Calculator, and we added some Herman stuff to it. And I'm happy to share a link to it later in the thing. We give it to people that have done it, and every month we ask them to go and score themselves to see whether they have been accessing each of the quadrants, and they give themselves points for the positive pieces and take some off for the negatives. And it just helps people reinforce whether they're are using all 4 quadrants or they're just relying on their strengths. We found that really handy. And obviously we do the brain mail for everybody as well to make sure that every month at least they're getting a reminder, if nothing else.
Yeah. Well, that'd be a great idea if you could. Is it something you can share?
Yeah, I'm
terrific.
Just extracting it from my files at the moment.
Yeah. Okay, and where's Vinay gone? Yeah, here. You're saying, a lot of experience with that, and as you say, with cross-cultural teams as well.
Yeah, so with the cross-cultural teams, to the point that was raised, often they want to see what will work, can we try it out, etc. And I love the use of metaphor. So I would say, so do you want to take the car for a test drive and then park it on the side and leave it, right? Or do you have you decided that you want to go on the journey? And one thing I found is very, very important to create ways of working, creating that safe space, understanding what their need is. To me, the HBDI has fit in as a great team development tool as part of a larger outcome that they're trying to drive.
Yes. Yes.
So if it's just that, HBDI as the end of it all, then it becomes very transactional.
Yes.
So that would be my thoughts.
Yes, thanks, Vinay. I still remember a long time ago, I'm glad to say, when a client phoned me up and said, "Hi, Michael, you might remember 12 months ago we did the HBDI. What else do you have?" And I thought, oh, I missed an opportunity there. Okay, let me share my screen again. And this is something, and we'll share this afterwards, that I found quite useful as a checklist. I guess, much like as Steve said, something you can give to a team and they can tick it off and see how they're going. And obviously it's got a bit in each. So in the A quadrant, these seem to be the main things that high performing teams tick off. All those in the B quadrant and the C and the D. And it was interesting on Tuesday, I think it was, Herman here, we all went to Brisbane for our annual strategy session, and we got together for dinner on the Monday night and dinner again on the Tuesday, and we spent Tuesday and oh dear, we're really good with the red, we're pretty good with the yellow, we kind of we had to work hard in the blue, and oh boy, I had to get quite tough, I think, with the green. So it is, it is hard. And as I say, I'll make sure you get a copy of this at the end of this. I guess one last thing, and it reminds me, or it links to what Vinay's just saying, or said before about you've got to have a bigger meaning, than just I want this for my team, because then they will park it by the side of the road and won't come back. I'm talking to a client at the moment, and this is the essence of the discussion I'm having with this client. They're beginning to describe their organization as a community. That's the way they want to describe the culture. And what they're working on, which I think is kind of interesting, is a community consists of a lot of individuals, as we know. And as individuals, we walk around, we do things and so on. And these are all individuals who, at a certain time, work alone. But they also work in groups, and more often than not, in more than one group at the same time. So you're a member of a group here, a group there, a bigger group there, a smaller group here, while you're working on your own and so forth. But you're also in teams, which are different to groups. And you might be in more than one team. So you're in a team here, a group there, working on your own, and so on and so forth. And all of this is, I guess, belonging to this one community. And what this client wants to do, what they're discovering, is that they're finding that whole brain thinking is the accelerant. It can really help accelerate the formation of a community. And they like the idea of a community because as an individual team member, you're pulled out very quickly and plucked somewhere else. And you can't rebuild that team every time it changes and every time you pop up somewhere else. So if you can create this community where right across the community is trust, and therefore is commitment, to the cause, therefore is accountability, that's a pretty good, noble thing to aim for. So interesting. All right. We're almost out of time. Anybody want to add anything about that quick look at team? Because I've got one other question I want to ask you, which has nothing to do with team. So any last thoughts this afternoon on teams?
There was a really good point brought up in our small group by Robin. By Tilly, Tammy, and Robin, about the teams often desire for that whole package to say that they've done a team development one, but in reality, and this is in reference to a workshop I did that was individual briefings in the morning, team workshop in the mid-afternoon or late afternoon, mid-afternoon, and then team effectiveness in the early afternoon. And so it's actually, regardless of them wanting to do all of it at one point in time, it's actually more beneficial to do bite-sized pieces to allow them to go on that journey and pushing back a bit on that development journey. And I just found that as an interesting perspective.
Yeah, thanks, James. Yeah. Any other comments on that?
Michael, I was just going to say, you know, the interesting thing is that after COVID, I think everybody's realizing that we need teams, that we need each other, and that whole, you know, rejoining again into organisations.
Yes,
is fascinating, actually. Just to see, you know, hopefully people's new appreciation of why it's important to work together after the isolation that we've experienced.
yeah, absolutely. I would agree with that 100%. Yeah. Okay. Thank you, everybody. Now, just before you go, as I say, if you don't have to answer these two questions if you don't want to, but it'd be enormously helpful for us if you did. We did our strategy meeting yesterday, so the day before, and obviously, you know, as Robin says, we've been in COVID, we're coming out of COVID, and who knows what's going to be next and so forth. And I guess we're trying to look into the crystal ball. So I actually have two questions, but I'll give you the first one first. What I'd love you to do, if you're willing, is just drop your answer in the chat, and then I can save the chat and keep it. The first question is this. When it comes to applying whole brain thinking at work, what are the applications that your clients are asking you for? You know, is it communication? Is it project management? Is it change? Is it what? You know, when you've introduced them to whole brain thinking, they say, well, that's good. What are they asking for next? Or aren't they? They might not be asking for anything. But are they saying, oh, God, you know, we'd love to do something on communication or on collaboration or on... I just want to find out if there's kind of a theme that's coming. And the second question is how do your clients want it delivered? What format? Do they want it face-to-face? Do they want it virtual? Do they want it hybrid? Do they want it online? Do they want YouTube videos? Do they want to go back to reading books? Do they want podcasts? Do they want 10-minute bursts? What on earth? How are we going to deliver this stuff in the next 12, 18 months, 24 months? Because I'm not sure we know. So what are they? Yes. Thanks, Joanne. Yes, hybrid of every format. Oh dear, every way possible. All right, and I say thank you for that. I will have a look at that, distill it, and next time I'll present a summary of that so you can see that. All right, thanks everybody for coming.